Hello, Excel warrior. You are welcome to class again. Today, one of the most used function in Excel is actually the sum function. But if you are still using sum for everything, you are leaving insight on the table. There's a lot of limitation with sum function when it comes to working in Microsoft Excel, especially if looking for insight is your primary objective. We are going to dissect that in this class today. Now, imagine you are tracking sales for 3 regions, okay, and your boss asks you, how much did region A sell in Q1, that is in quarter one? You will realize that your trusty sum function cannot handle such. So that is why in today we are diving into why sum alone is not enough and how SUMIF and SUMIFS can take your spreadsheet game to the next level. We are going to do a mini project looking at a scenario of a small business data, and we are also going to make the data set available for you to practice with in the description section of this video. I mean, the data set that I'm going to use in this class today, you will have access to it in the description section so you can practice along with me. And I will solve a question and allow you to do another one. Are you ready? Let's jump into it right now. Now, this is the scenario. You run a small business selling 3 products like we have in this table here. This is the product column. You are selling t-shirts, you are selling hoodies, and then you are selling cap. And you have 3 regions. If you like, you can call it 3 location. You're going to say use Lagos, and then you have a location in Abuja, and you have a location in Port Harcourt. All these 3 cities I mentioned, they are in Nigeria, okay? So you have 3 locations irrespective of where they are around the world. Does not matter. Now, you want to see the total sales, okay? This is the first thing that you want to see. You want to see the total sales like I have in this column J here. You want to see the sales for t-shirt only, okay? The sales for t-shirt only. It could be for any of the other products. Your interest is that you want to see the sales for a particular product or each of the products, and then you want to see sales for each product as well in each region. You can see sales for hoodies in Lagos. It could be sales for caps in Port Harcourt. So you want to see the sales for each product or one of the products in each of the region. How much is Lagos making for a particular product? How much is Port Harcourt making for a particular product? So that you will know whether to continue with that product if the sales is not proper in those locations or is not measuring up to your expectation. And then the final question there are 4 things we are going to be looking at here is you want to see the sales for a product in a region during a specific month. So for example, we want to see the sales for cap in Abuja during the month of July. So you can see that we have the date involved here. You have also the location, which is the region in Abuja, and then which month, which product for cap. It could be for any other product. So looking at these 4 questions, 1, question 2, question 3, and question 4 that you want to answer in order to get a lot of insight from your, from your data. Sum alone cannot do that. So let's go ahead and just quickly look at how to resolve to answer all of these questions right now. You come over here, you can decide to put your answer in any cell within your worksheet, or you can decide where it should be, but I would prefer to come over here. The first thing I'm going to do this, and I want to put just a top border to demarcate, the cells that contain the value and where my answer will be. So I'll come to column cell E10 over here, and I'm going to do total. We want to know the total sales. This is easier. If you have watched my previous training, you will definitely know that this is simple thing to do. So total sales, just go ahead and then highlight all of this cell, okay, and then you can use your auto sum. All right, you get an answer for this, which you can see from the formula bar. This is the function that we use, the equal sum, open bracket, the range of cells that you are adding together, F2 column F9, that is F2 to F9. So we have gotten the total sales. Now you are to produce also the sales for t-shirt only. This time around, Unfortunately, the sum function is incapacitated. There is no way the sum function can help you to answer a question like this. So we're going to turn to SUMIF because that has to do with a condition. It's a conditional statement right now. So we use the SUMIF if one condition is to be met. If one condition is to be met, that is one criteria. This time around, we want to know the sales for T-shirt only. So we are going to be looking at the products column along with the total sales column in order to solve that. What is the syntax for this? Let's go ahead and do that. Let's put what you want to do here. I want to know sales, okay, for T-shirts only. And then we're going to have our answer. So you start with equal sign and then you do SUMIF. It's a function that exists already in your Microsoft Excel. So you have the SUMIF here, then you double click on it. As soon as, don't forget that whenever you want to type a formula in Microsoft Excel, the cell that will contain the formula must start with equal sign. So that is why I started with equal sign, SUMIF, then I double click on this because I want to see the syntax. So you can see the SUMIF. If you look at it below here, you can see SUMIF. The first thing is the range, then you have the criteria, and then after that you have the comma, then the sum range. What is this all about? So this is the syntax. Now the criteria, the first thing is the range. Which range are we talking about now? We are looking at the product range, the column that contains the product, because we are going to be looking out for T-shirt from that column, only T-shirt. So we select the range, which is going to be from B2 to this point. This is where we have our data, column B, starting from B2 to B9. So we have all our products here. So this is the range. Now, in this range, what should I be looking for? Now, you need to tell Excel what to look for from this range. You should look for wherever there is T-shirt. So whenever you are typing criteria in Microsoft Excel, you must put it in a quotation mark. Okay? If you look at the syntax, what you are following here, you see SUMIF, the first thing is the range. We have selected the range, and then we put a comma as we have the syntax. It's very simple. Just follow the syntax. You are not going to get lost when you are working in Microsoft Excel, and you are not going to run into error as such if you follow the syntax accordingly. We have selected the range. We have put the comma. The next thing is criteria. What is the criteria that we want to use? Okay, the criteria is T-shirt according to the question, what we are trying to solve. So I'll go ahead and just put in a quotation. You type the T-shirt, the same spelling. Don't make a spelling mistake. If you do, if T-shirt is what you use and it does not exist in the range of the product, you are not going to get correct answer. You're going to run into error. So make sure you pay attention to the spelling. Okay, you do that and then you close the quotation and you put the comma. The next thing is the sum range. So Excel is now looking at it. What should I do? Excel will go ahead and look at the product, look for T-shirt. Wherever it sees the T-shirt, it's going to match it with whatever says happen for the T-shirt. So the sum range, you are going to select the range that contains the total sales record here. So the sum range is going to be from here. Remember, it is a range. You select it from there to the F2 to F9. If you don't know how to select like I did, just write the first cell, okay, F2, then column F9. Write the last one. That is the range. The first cell that contains the value, column, the last one, and that is the range. And if you know how to use your mouse properly, you can just go ahead and select it like that. Then close the bracket. And the next thing we are going to do, enter. So you have the answer. All right. So now we have solved the second question, which is 6 for T-shirt in Lagos, and then we have our answer as 110,000. So that is that. Now the next question we need to solve, which is the question 3. This time around is 6 for hoodies in Lagos. Now you can see now we need to look for the sales of hoodies, which is a product, and then location as well, that is the region. So this time around, SUMIF is incapacitated. It cannot handle when you have more than one criteria to work with. So this time around, now we need 2 criterion. We're going to be looking at the product, which is UDIs, and then as well as the location. So SUMIF cannot handle that. This is when you are now going to use what we call SUMIFS. Okay, SUMIFS is what we are going to use in this case right now. So how do you go about that? Let's go ahead again and follow the syntax. So we want to know sales, okay, of this time around UDIs in Lagos. All right, what is going to be, remember, you start with equal sign. We're going to put the answer in cell F12, and then we do SUMIFS. That is what you are going to use this time around, because if is for one criteria, ifs is when you have more than one, multiple criterion. So in that case, you are going to use ifs. That's more than one condition this time around, meaning that you are going to sum together if these two conditions are met. If the product is UDIs, as well as the location or the region is Lagos. I hope you understand. The last one, which is SUMIF, we only treated one condition. Says for t-shirt only, all right? Just product only. We are not considering the location. So that means the last answer that we got for t-shirt is for all the region. It's for Lagos, for Abuja, for Port Harcourt. The says for t-shirt, so that we know how t-shirts products are actually selling in the market in all the region. But this time around, we are saying we don't just want the product. We want to know for each of the location. At that point, you can no longer use SUMIF. So we turn our attention to SUMIFS. So that is when you have multiple conditions. Whenever is more than one, you are going to turn to SUMIFS. So what do we go do? The first thing we are going to start with here, that is why I say work with syntax. Look at it, sum range. So the first thing this time around is the sum range. It's not going to be range like when we use the SUMIF. When we use SUMIF, it was the range, but this time around, sum range. So we are starting with the sum range. So this is the range that we want to sum together up to this, that is F2 to F9. Then simple, put your comma, then criteria range 1. What is the first criteria? The range 1 that we are selecting, remember? So the first criteria is what? Say for UDIs, we are going to come to, UDIs is under product. So criteria range 1 is going to be the B column. Select all of the product in that column, so that Excel will be checking only when the criteria is met. So what is the criteria for the range 1? Remember, criteria range 1, then criteria 1. The criteria 1 this time around is going to be UDIs. That's what we are looking for. Then put it in a quotation like we said. Put your comma. Now, you have the next one, criteria range 2. What is the criteria range 2? Okay, let's go ahead. I believe you got that. That should be location and region. So we are going to select all the region, which is the C column. We do up to this, and then we put our comma. Then it's going to ask us what is the criteria 2. What's the criteria 2 we are looking for? Lagos. You can see that it is simple. So you just go ahead and put Lagos. Assuming you have more column to select, more criteria to work with, you just continue in this order, okay? That is all you need to do. Continue in that order, but we are done because the question says safe for UDIs in Lagos. So we only have 2 criteria this time around, the product and then the region. So, and then we have selected the column, the range for the product, and then we are fitting the UDIs there. We are fitting as well something. Okay, look at this. This should be UDI, not UDI. So I have to be careful with that. If you go ahead and do that, you might run into error. So I go back to my formula and then put a comma to close the bracket. Close the bracket. We started by opening bracket. You must close the bracket. Hit enter. So sales of UDIs in Lagos alone, you have 7,200. You want to see the whole of this? We can wrap this and then you can wrap this as well. Okay, let's wrap it so we can see the total there. So this is 7,200 that we have for just Lagos. Now, the last question we are going to solve now is sales for cabs in Abuja during July. Now, you can see what happened here. 3 criteria this time around. Not only 2, we have sales for cabs. So the product is cab, the region is Abuja, and we have the date during July. So we don't want to know what happened in every other month. You want to just know Probably is, during the sunning time, you want to know how much cap was able to be sold in July. You want to compare what happened to the product, to the sales of cap in January or any other month whatsoever. That is also possible. This time around, I know you should be able to know what function we are going to use now. Again, we are turning our attention back to SUMIFS. That is what we are going to use when you have more than one criteria. Let's go in there. So we do sales for cabs, all right, in Abuja, another location, during July. So yeah, then you go to the next cell, and now we're going to start with equal sign, SUMIFS. All right, you should be able to solve this now. The first thing that we are going to do is sum range. This is our sum range. We'll select it, and then you put your comma. What is the criteria? Range 1. Range, whenever you see range, more than 1. So criteria range 1 says for cap is going to be under product, the colon for the product, because cap is there. So we put a comma again. What's the criteria 1 is going to be what? That is cap. So you put it in a quotation and you do cap, and then you put it in a quotation back, you do your comma. All right. The next thing based on this is criteria range 2. Just follow it. Range 2 is under region, so Abuja. So we're going to go here, and then we put comma. What is the criteria 2? Is Abuja. So you go ahead and put in a quotation Abuja, and then you close the quotation, comma again. Criteria range 3. What is criteria range 3? You should know that now. That is our date, because it said during July. So you come over to the date function, and then you select all the column A, data there. What next? You put a comma. Criteria range 3. Criteria 3 now. We have selected the criteria range 3. What is the criteria 3? It said during July. Now, this one you have to be a little bit smart. July, from what date to what date in July? July is usually from, so that you are not going to omit any day in the month of July. July starts from July 1 and it ends when? July 31. So you have 01 to 31. That is the date range. If you are going to do it, that means it's going to be when the date is equals to or greater than 1, right? So that is what we are going to use. Let's go ahead and do that so you see what I'm talking about. We're going to put it in a quotation because it's a criteria. We are going to do greater than. We'll start with greater than or equals to. If it's greater than or equals to what date? 01, right? Then we go ahead and write our date, 07, 20, depending on what you have in your 2023 is what I have there. You are working with the date that you have in your date column, okay, in your Excel sheet. Mine is, 2023, so I'm going to do that. If it's greater than or equals to 01, 07, 2023, okay, and then I'm going to go ahead now and put it in a quotation. Yeah, that's the criteria 1, and then you put a comma. So it's going to ask us again, what is the criteria range 4? So we'll go ahead and select the next one. What's the criteria range 4? It's going to be the same date. So we're going to do A2 up to A9. Right, that's what we are working with, criteria range 4. Okay, look at that criteria, and then what is going to be criteria 4. Right, this time around we are going to do if the date criteria 4 is going to be in the quotation is less than 31st. Remember, we are doing between 01 to 31st, less than or equals to 31st, 3107, and then 2023, 3107, 2023. You are going to work with your date. Then close the criteria with quotation and then close the bracket. Now we are done with the syntax. Regarding the date, look at it. We are working with 0107 to 2023. If the date is greater than or equals to, Excel is going to pick it from the date column. So the next thing we do now is to hit our enter so we can see. So I hope this is clear. Now, let's break it down a bit. When to use what? That may be the question. Use sum when you want to total everything, okay? Sum if when one condition needs to be met, and we use some ifs when multiple conditions need to be met. Now, it's your turn. I would like you to use the same data. I have it in the description section of this video to calculate the total sales for hoodies in Port Harcourt during July. Total sales for hoodies, this is what I would like you to do. The fifth one, total sales for hoodie in Port Harcourt during July. Okay, check the data set in the description section of this table and do that. And once you are done, I would like you to drop your formula in the comment section of this video. Let me have the formula that you use to calculate that in the comment section of this video. Now you know why sum alone is not enough and how sum if and sum ifs can supercharge your spreadsheet. So if you find this helpful, give it a thumbs up, like the video, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more Excel and other IT magic from me. Next time we are going to be looking at count if and count ifs. Okay, that is the secret for counting and more training to come on board. Thank you for taking your learning journey with Flourish ICT Academy. See you in the next one. Bye.